Go ahead.
Okay, it's 6 p.m. Wednesday, June 12th. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Ocean Highway Port Authority. Commissioner Cole will lead us to the invocation.
Some of you know, you heard, some of you probably didn't know, you were on the board. She was on the board. Margie Gandy passed away, I think yesterday. She was on the board probably 8 years ago. Her husband was on the board for a long time. And he passed away while he was on. And we voted to let her fill out his term, which was only a year, but she ran for re-election and won the election to on the board about a term and a half. So remember her. Thank you.
All right, gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we do thank you for this day that we've been blessed with. We thank you for this great country that we live in, the freedoms and all that we have, Lord. We pray now that you would meet with us and you would give us wisdom and discernment to make the right decisions for the Ocean Highway Port Authority. We ask too, Lord, that you would be with Israel and Ukraine and give them peace, Lord, help their issues to come to a resolve. And we pray for the Gandy family, that you would lift them up, Lord. Also pray for our first responders and our servicemen and women. And as we celebrate our 80 years of D-Day, Lord, the men and women who fought and died to give us that freedom. Lord, we're grateful and thankful for them. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Starting with pledge of allegiance.
And to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Cole,
Here.
Commissioner Fullwood, Commissioner Nelson,
Here.
Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Chair Hill.
Here.
Thank you.
This point of the agenda, we always recognize elected officials and other members of the community who are present. Starting, Mrs. Fullwood is here. Ms. Sherry Mitchell is here on behalf of the Nassau County Economic Development Board. We have David Steen. We have Commissioner Chip Ross on behalf of the city and as a citizen. Jimmy Dudley, who is also a candidate from District 2 for the Ocean Highway Port Authority. And I'm sorry, sir, please tell me your name. Would you like to introduce yourself for the record? Would you like to introduce yourself for the record?
I can't hear you.
Would you like to introduce yourself for the record?
I still can't hear you.
Okay, we'll get back. Okay, so we have comments on the next item on the agenda. And we have a comment request from Chip Ross, 210 North 3rd Street, and this is regarding yard waste and empty the second part.
And money.
Okay, go right ahead.
So Chip Ross, 210 North 3rd Street, Fernandina Beach, Florida. This is interesting. I'm here representing myself, not the city. I noticed on your agenda, it said under old business, yard waste. I think that's the corner, which is on the corner of Dave and actually Calhoun and 2nd Street in the northwest corner, which is city right away. The local residents file their yard debris as the city encourages them to do, and it's picked up once a week. Doing that for years. So I'm not sure why the Ocean Highway Port Authority is involved in that. I don't think it's a problem. The city encourages the neighborhood to do that, and I think it's worked out quite well. And number 2 is your budget. I noticed under pilot payments to the city of Fernandina Beach, you budgeted $0. I think your budget is a statement of your values. All budgets are statement of values. And I think that budgeting $0 sends a clear message to the citizens of Fernandina Beach. And I'm not quite sure why we're spending money to mediate this once again on July 2nd, but that's the issue. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is a presentation about Sherry Mitchell, executive director for the Nassau County Family Development Board. Sherry, thanks for coming. Thank you for having me. Good evening. I will start out by thanking each and every one of you for your continued support with the Economic Development Board. It's very much appreciated. And in front of you, you should have a copy of the presentation. I really want to come out here and talk to you guys, give you an update on what we're seeing business-wise, especially out at the Proper Time Industrial Park. So if you guys want me to slow down, going through the fluff on our mission and our vision within DEV, just go ahead and stop me. Please feel free to ask any questions through the presentation. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Are you guys awake now? I actually got on, and we'll start that. That's not been revised, but we'll go there. So let's just go quickly over the county overview. The population is wrong. It is 101,000. We've absolutely been growing leaps and bounds in the county. Everybody knows that. Our unemployment rate remains at 2.9, really right at 3% right now. Workforce 47,316. I'm not going to read all line by line for you guys. You can see and probably know the statistics of our overview for the county. Next slide, please. There you go. Let me go ahead and back up. When leadership left a few years ago, we kind of went back and we took a step back and wanted to put together a strategic plan. Through that strategic plan, we came out with 4 key economic drivers that any and all EDO organizations will operate on. So these 4 key drivers are going to be the BRE, business retention expansion, our BRN, business recruitment and marketing, the public relations, communication, and sustainable revenue source. This is what you're going to find in our strategic plan. This is an open 5-year plan, and you'll also find you can go ahead and jump over. You'll also find the ad hoc committees through those 4 main pillars that you just saw. I'll go over a little bit about the BRE, business retention expansion. We put together a program. We have established a BRE program a couple of years ago, and through that program, we wanted to use the BRE forums, and so that is some business roundtable business discussions. We have established some of the partners. This program is going to be ran by the Economic Development Board. So we've got somebody on my board heading that up. We also have somebody from Career Source, Small Business Development Center, County Planning, CBB, and the Chamber. We also have somebody from the Education Department, depending on whatever our topic is. This last one, we did something on retention. We really wanted to kind of reach out to the businesses and say, hey, or expansion rather, what did it take for you guys to expand? Did you guys need any help from any of the business partners? So laying that out there really gives them the opportunity to have everybody in one program, any need that they may have on growing pains, expansion problems. So it's really been very, very receptive. Next slide. Okay, so we also have the Small Business Development Center that is on our board. That's one of the things that we have supported for years. Jody does a fantastic job, and we always get the reports on the entrepreneur consulting hours, what kind of workshop attendees, and the capital formation that is brought here in Nassau County.
And again, I'm going to jump the gun that you see to the left, who our business partners are. Next slide. These are some of our board also wanted to really have a focus on community outreach. So when we were able to build up our staff, we went from 1 person to 2 people, back to 3 people, and now we've got a pretty strong staff. Really remain at 3 full-time employees, including myself. Next slide. And next slide. Okay, so some of the economic development initiatives, you know, we're always asked. Actually, when I started 7 years ago, I was the one that was bringing the business development, workforce development to economic development. You know, just kind of bringing that component because we're always asked when we are talking to businesses, hey, do you have that skilled workforce? So past leadership, Laura Devella, she kind of brought me in and said, you know, go ahead and let's set this up. So we focused on the west side of the county where the majority of the growth is happening. And through this strategic plan, we also put together what is our role in the community. You know, one of the things I was hearing is what does the NCEDB do? And I was kind of surprised at that. A lot of folks that did not know what the role of an economic development board. So business retention, education is very, very big. The key critical role because we have to do what we can do to build that workforce pipeline. Again, that's one of the first questions that we get when we are talking to these businesses is, you know, do we have a skilled workforce for my business? You know, I think we've got quality of life in the bag. I think we're perfectly positioned where we are located in Nassau County, but we truly have to sustain a good, strong, skilled workforce. And then again, community involvement. We've seen a lot more of the NCEDB participating in community outreach, and then we will continue to market our key sites. Next slide. Speaking of marketing key sites, the big diamond in the rough is no longer a secret. And I know people have heard this time and time again. The Crawford Diamond Industrial Site at 1,800 acres, FPL purchase from Rainier. We've got 1,300 acres. FPL's got a solar farm out there. So we do have a little bit of over 400 marketable, there's 400 marketable acres still remaining up there. One of the key selling points for that site is obviously the dual rail, and a lot of us do not have that diamond that we offer out there. And again, where we are positioned, the new intersection of 301, access to multiple ports, and then we have the on-site power right there at Crawford Road. They've done a lot of road improvements, which has been significant. And I'll go ahead and look a little bit later on some of the folks that we've been talking to that have been looking out there at the diamond. Next slide. So the active projects that we do have is going to be the Wildlife Commerce Park, which I recently purchased. That's going to be over $250 million capital investment over 10 years. 1.5 million square feet of industrial park out there, 10 buildings, light manufacturing. So that is a very, very active site. And I have submitted that site. It's been wonderful to be able to submit that site when we are having so many logistics and distribution businesses looking to relocate. And so we've got one of the most active projects that I'm most proud of is the Town of Callahan water plant. That's been a long time coming because we've lost several projects, unfortunately, due to the lack of infrastructure that we have. So they have been working with doing due diligence out there. Mike Williams, I will always give props to them. And I know I'm going inside come and try to phone him and ask him on, for continuous updates, where are we? So this year, we should be complete with that water plant. So 3.6 million, 3.6 miles of wastewater, 1 million gallons per day, and expandable to 6 million gallons per day, by the end of the 5 days. So again, that's gonna be popping off like gangbusters, and that's gonna be the game changing once we have all the infrastructure in place. And before I jump off of, that's good. Before I jump off of the proper on the industrial side, I will go ahead, this is something really just hot off the press. This is how quickly projects are really coming, across our desk. And the site that I'm always submitting is going to be proper on the industrial site, for larger industrial, projects. So one that we just received, actually this afternoon, like, is, a company that is interested in bringing 25 full-time jobs, 20 to 35 million in capital investments. They are looking for existing buildings to get that requirement was more than you could possibly imagine. That's one thing we do not have in lack in Afghanistan here in Nassau. However, they are interested in also building suit. So that's a good one. And the other one that we have that is actively working out there at the Diamond is a data center. So a data center is not necessarily the job creation that we wanted, and I'm not including the indirect jobs that would bring. You know, we really want to diversify that tax base by bringing in those the jobs that are going to be able to be sustained here in Nassau County. However, a good, promising a takeaway from having a data center would be they're going to have all the infrastructure needed that a data center would have, that a manufacturer would also have to need coming behind them. So, you know, the property owner holding out for that high power user, you know, it's going to benefit all of us. And the more infrastructure that is complete in that area will benefit us in the long run. The active project, if you're driving down 200, obviously is going to be HCA, which is a 55-acre southeast corner, State Road 200, 50,000 square foot medical building and emergency room, providing 30 initial jobs. And that's just in phase 1. Their groundbreaking is scheduled. It's actually been pushed back a couple of times and it's scheduled for next Friday, April 21st. So really excited about that. Nice to have a little healthcare hub right here in the middle of over on the in Yulee. Baptist right across the street, Baptist Crossing Medical Campus. CapEx is 38 million on that one. A little over 24 acres, 75,000 square feet, medical office building, 2 emergency rooms, providing 50 jobs in just phase 1. So we're proud about that one as well. So another project that FPL has been working on, and we've got up there again, 200 jobs. That is again, that's indirect jobs. So I think it's about that again. Another solar farm out there on Thomas Creek's solar project. That is, they purchased up 638 acres. So that's going to be a great project that's been underway as well. Next slide. And a quick snapshot of what the economic snapshot for Nassau County. Again, I think this is one of the things that we add on here are some of our newer investors and what properties that we've got listed. I'm always asking folks to, you know, go to our website. We've recently updated our GIS planning, so we've got a lot of hits. The traffic has increased significantly on our website, which is wonderful. Being able to track that and reach out to these folks. So we currently have 124 listings, over 2 million square feet, over 2,000 acres, 69 sites of vacant land, and 55 buildings available. So again, I've got 3 folks that I'm responding to this week, and another one of the developers was also looking at the East Nassau property over here, right behind where Baptist is gonna be, and he, again, is gonna be competitive to the Wildlife Commerce Park because it is another light industrial park that he's wanting to do. And so I've also got somebody that's just recently here from Alabama, looking to put up some warehouses. So I was asking him about working in, and why don't we hear about a year ago? That's, again, one of the requests that is, highly sought.
Where do you do that?
He is asking me to submit some sites. So yeah, I'm sending in some, property we've got on the west side and, something maybe, a couple of sites. Yeah, if anything that I have on my list and you'd like to submit, let me know. I'm happy to. You also see on this list is the, newer prospects. I just really wanted to, since signing NDAs to these businesses, I really want to put in there or have, these active prospects really numbered. And I really just wanted to put that key industry, on there, the capital investment, the jobs that they bring to the county, and what is the average wage that you're gonna be bringing in for your, employees. Next slide. When we wrapped up 22-23 fiscal year, it was a total of 17 projects. Did any of them land here? No, unfortunately. So that does mean that we went to 17 different site visits, responding to folks that are coming into Nassau County and doing the tours. They do residential tours where, and they do, just really checking out multiple sites. And we keep hearing me say Crawford Diamond and the, Wildlife Commerce Park, but we've got other, property all over the county. So we've got a lot of folks that are on the west side of the county that, I'm also kind of putting their property in the hat as well. How do I get the leads that are looking into Nassau County to relocate? 22% is from, EFI, which is now Florida Commerce. Jackson USA, we remain a regional partner with Jackson USA. And then the direct hits come directly through our website. We did have it broken up into different industries, which you see obviously in Nassau County. And so the biggest one obviously is our hospitality and tourism. And then we are looking to trade and transportation, 23%. And the industry of professional business services, 50%, education and health services, 14%, manufacturing only at 8.3. I really look to have that increase in the next couple of years. Construction obviously is almost at 8%, and retail is 5.1%. Next slide. Couldn't do anything about the folks that you see on this list right here. That's investors, including you all. So I always want to give them a plug and appreciate them continuing to believe in the economic development for Nassau County. And with that, I'll take any questions that you have.
Carrie, is it an excellent presentation? In terms of the workforce development, that seems to be a recurring theme. How do you see that? How do you see us approaching that problem?
I think partnering and collaborating with your school board and making sure that they have the job demand list, they're doing great. The CTE program's taken off. I was just in Rosenblatt yesterday telling them a little bit about that, because we still have folks that have got, need the skilled workers and flat out don't have. So really working, collaborating with them, with our colleges, with our regional partners, and state partners, and just really staying ahead of that curve. So, and I can't even tell you how critically important that is.
Yeah, it's an exciting place to be when you go down to the board and you talk to those that work on the dock every day. Some of those folks have been out there for 25, 30 years at our last meeting, recognized some of those individuals, and they speak really highly of their experience at the board. It seems to be a good, good living and a good life. And I don't think that that's well recognized within, the younger generation. This is a great place to work.
And what I would recommend is to get with your groups and, I'm talking with Brian Simmons with the entrepreneur for Louis High School. And he is always saying, you know, what business can we get in front of, you know, what can, and not only for entrepreneur, but for career tech, or whatever they're going to go before you're called, we all know that. Okay, so we're always going to hear us, doing initiatives like Manufacturing Day is the first Friday of every October. So this year we're gonna be able to bring back our, train the teachers. So we're gonna start them on the west side of the county. Stop in Yulee, end up on the island, and by the end of the day, we'll take them to dinner, and their mind blown, because I have no idea, maybe it's my brothers there, I have no idea, who jobs are before, and these are educators. You know, so being an advocate for that and letting them know and just being connected and collaborating with those right groups like that.
Well, in Virgin E, it's a business development, it's a, Saturday, he's fabulous, and I'm a big fan personally. But I'm glad that you all have made a connection, try to, you know, highlight some of the business that she and her team have won. Recently with the covered barge service, to Puerto Rico, but.
Congratulations, that's phenomenal.
And
So,
thank
and
you
you
for
know,
highlighting that.
you know, if anything, you know, the Economic Development Board is very, very resourceful. So, you know, I really say we're partners with Jack Jose. One of the other groups that we recently joined was the North Florida Economic Development Partnership. So that group of folks are out of Tallahassee, but they focus solely on rural counties. So many different initiatives come out of that group, but just really making sure that Nassau County is on the map. And folks are knowing and hearing about it. So yeah, definitely, you know, that's what we're here for.
Madam Chair, I have a question. The industrial part of Commerce Park is one. I've talked with gentlemen that involved in that, doing it, yeah. And I'll meet with him later on, to find out what we can do, what others can do to be involved in something, whether it be put some money into warehousing, and also the Crawford Diamond, need warehousing up there. What would it take for us to do that,
And I think, and
besides money?
that was, it doesn't, that's just the, you have all the problem.
Yes.
But I was gonna say, he was very inquisitive about our pool, so I put him in touch with, it was before Butch had left. And so I'm glad you reached out to him, because like I said, he will utilize that, you know, he'll utilize that, he wants to utilize rail, so I want him to be able to, make that, you know, use every asset available to him in Nassau County. So, you know, having those, different business roundtables, like even Bullhorn, he wants us to get a group of folks together, because, looking for investors on that project, we'll be happy to, facilitate like that.
I've always said we need to move away from the physical port. We need to get out into the county.
Right,
The only way to do that is probably build some warehouses,
yeah, 100%.
or buildings, and then mix those out.
Right.
And that would, we could borrow money to do that, or if we had our own money, we could do that. Hopefully, we'll have some money here soon, we can maybe look toward doing it.
That would be wonderful. And I was gonna say, one of the other, projects that we've been working on, maybe we say, open factor out of Georgia. And you know who I'm referring to, and so they are looking at pretty strict in their requirements. They said, sure, like, move-in ready building, I don't want to pay anything to, you know, lease it, of course, a 99-year lease. And the buyout, I talked to, Shane Hill about that a little bit as well. They have really identified, did not want Crawford Diamond, was not interested in the Commerce Park, interested in the property out there at the school, school board's property out there by the rivers. And so really right now, we can see what kind of, assessment, property assessments, land assessments that have been done on that, so I just got that report back from them. So yeah, we remain, steadfast on really just, you know, courting them and doing anything that we can do. If I had a standing building, I would love to be able to offer them. They come back at me and said that, Bay County's offered me, you know, X, Y, and Z, and said, I'm sorry, when you want to be in Nassau County, because a lot of your staff are right here on the west side of the county. So, talked to Commissioner, Farmer about that. And so again, that's kind of a slow go, but one that really has got potential and would be phenomenal because they would have a workforce component because his source talk about business is being able to retain his workforce. So sound familiar? I mean, we hear about a lot. We hear about a lot. So I think that we would be able to assist him with that through our CCE, through the MSA that we offer through all the way to Jacksonville. So yes. Have any questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Thomas Creek Solar going in.
When?
Where?
Where? Oh,
Thomas Creek.
God, I've got these staff at my office also. So Carol has mentioned that in our board meetings and, so yeah, I will do.
That'll be on Thomas Creek somewhere.
Yeah.
Thomas Creek Solar.
Yeah,
So,
but it's,
all right, thank you. You will drop something, share that out.
It's the mic cover, no worries.
What size range of warehouse buildings are most of the
100,000 square feet, 1,000 square feet. So it range, yeah, so it's range. I mean, the gentleman I saw today, he's with Collier, but he lives in Alabama, looking to come down and put in, 5 different warehouses. And I was like, well, hold on a second. And so I am in the middle of, corresponding back and forth with him. And so they were pretty sizable.
We're talking about
You know our bonding capabilities, so we're.
Oh, 100%. Right. And so we did speak on that, I brought in the former, ED for the court, and we had a conversation with the, Town of Callahan, about that very, municipal bond opportunity. So definitely, spoke to Chairman Hill a little bit about that as well. So.
It's great to have you here and we did, regular tradition. I think it's really important to have not only Commissioner Cole representing OCA, but also just regular dialogue, the more touch points, the better.
And so I don't think we have a forward minutes, and I'm sure you're right. I mean, collaboration is key. And you need to know what I'm saying, and you need to monitor that as well.
Thank you so
So
much.
whatever you do.
Thank you so much, Sherry.
Thank you all.
All right, next item on the agenda, regular business, item 8A, approval of minutes. I think we receive a motion to either take them together or separately.
Motion approved for the, second.
The motion is second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Item 8B, the board attorney report.
Thank you, Chair. Report very self-explanatory, we just reminded everybody of scheduled meetings on July 2nd, over at City Hall, starts at 10 a.m. I think everything else on here, we kind of discussed and been on before or are on the agenda tonight.
Could I interrupt you about the mediation, this in response to Commissioner Ross's comment? Do we need to amend the budget to cover the mediation expense?
The mediation defense?
Yes.
No, I don't think at this point, we're actually using the city's contract with the division for the hearings, so that's a much more palpable rate for the mediator, split the cost. So I don't think at this time it's necessary to come back to here and conclude and get those expenses. Obviously, there's quite a bit of work being done on mediation that we're doing now. Our mediation statement is due on the 24th. So we're working on that. And I think that involved, probably clear from legal operator on a tender. We still not heard on that, and I'll keep on that, but it's right now.
And when you say our tender, you're talking about reimbursement for indemnifiable expenses?
Yeah, tender defense, duty defense, indemnifiables. Which we sent either very late last year or early this year to on the bond and so kind of having further definitive response, I think we weekly inquire and have to answer any questions on anything else, I think you all know my preference on pending litigation, but happy to talk to you offline or if you have any questions about the when we get there, the security services agreement, we're going to talk about the real estate issues, things like that, and all the address of very well.
Did you have an update on the tax collector?
I shared email with everybody, regarding outside office communication with the tax collector. So that is sent around and, as of today, I've not heard whether the tax collector's office has responded. But we're trying to position ourselves to avoid, the need to have a hearing on motion for injunction. We do have a hearing date set, it's not till August, we have plenty of time there, but we're kind of, working on some statutory workarounds to keep things from escalating beyond what we want. I think we're well positioned there, but we have not received an official response from the tax. If you read that, you know, you have any questions, no, nothing from the Florida Supreme Court, and certainly they're about there's no agree. Now it's in regard to the same case.
So, just to understand the status of that tax certificate, is it going to result in a lien filing or how is, like, is our title so clear?
Yeah, it is. They have to go through certain steps, these are preliminary steps. The tax certificate is not put up for sale or anything like that. We're not in danger. What we found is what we did is that we're workaround to essentially hold things where they are while we continue to contest the status of the tax collector.
Any other questions, any questions about the guidance and the
I'm a little upset about what was said today from Mr. Ross about us putting this in our budget. It's our responsibility to do that. While we go into mediation, I'll tell you, we have set and tried to negotiate with the city for the last year. We've gone back and forth, we made offers, they've made offers, and they don't seem to come off their offer at all. We adjusted ourselves. They want it all like they always have, and that's why it hasn't been settled. And that's why we have to go to mediation, which I don't think personally is going to do any good. So we may have to end up going to court with this. But that's why we won't have it in the back, because it's a legal item and we're not going to put it in the back. Thank you.
This board needs to start making statements and decisions that solve problems instead of creating problems. That's all I have to say about that. All right, the next item on the agenda, regular business. Board account report. Here, you're up. Financial report for May 2024.
Reports in the package for the treasurer's report for May. Obviously, we received the quarterly reimbursement. Quarterly payment from the operator in May, and our ARPA reimbursement for January through April wages that we submitted to ARPA for reimbursement. No other items of particular note. Any questions in the treasury report? Questions asked?
That's it.
So obviously, Customs House, we have both the design project going on and the data upgrade for customs, CBP, yeah, Customs and Border Protection. So both of those are reflected in here and those continue are ongoing. So we have reimbursements coming and payments outgoing and things like that. So at the end, obviously, those should all break even. All those should be reimbursed by the end of the day. So, so we should be.
So are all the invoice expenses within the allowed period? Then there's a question about whether the timing was after
Yes.
the grant that was executed. Is that in June?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
I just wanted to make sure we.
Yeah, we received the $27,000 is for that's for the IT upgrade,
Correct.
right? So we're still waiting for the
And
reimbursement
that's done.
from, yeah, we're still waiting for the reimbursement from,
Yeah, we're talking about IT upgrade, you're talking about a separate grant, not a
Yes. We're talking about customs,
Just which.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, customs house design, architectural work, whatever site study versus obviously, remember, we had a project where CBP required us to upgrade their computer programs and things like that. And that's being funded by a grant, partially by a grant and partially by contributions from worldwide tournaments.
Okay. I was talking about business switch.
Right, different, yeah, right.
Okay, so business switch invoices are all within the reimbursement time period, post execution of the grant.
April 12th.
Right.
Yes.
I just want to.
And those have been submitted for reimbursement. Those,
I don't remember.
Okay, so.
Not yet, not yet.
Not yet. Because obviously that'll be, obviously once they're in the hand of FDOT, then we'll, obviously if they have any questions about timing or about work, detail invoices and things like that, that's when obviously the detail will be checked and make sure it goes through that process. Okay, so. All right, and then obviously the account balances are the third sheet, so. Any questions on that? Remember, obviously, we received $176,000 in funding, so that's why the account balance is so high. Okay. There's no update other than we're receiving the money. We haven't submitted any new reimbursements for ARPA. Obviously, as we talked about, next reimbursement will be probably the final one, which should be sometime in probably August or so. So, no other funds are expected. And then obviously you have in your package the first draft of the budget for 2025. Obviously, you have the year-to-date actual for as the first column, the budget for current year 2023-2024, and the third column is the proposed budget for 2024-2025. So we expect obviously the quarterly fee goes up, so the annual fee paid quarterly goes up by inflation. So, and right now that's about 3.3%. So we included a 3.25% increase. The miscellaneous income, which is the $1,500 fee for the conduit bond fee, and obviously the port revenue from and bunkering. Those are all the revenues that we expect for next year at this point. I don't expect any other revenues at this point. And so the expenses, I have not made any changes at the current time to expenses, so they are essentially currently obviously the board attorney is at $5,000 per month for 2024-2025. And the audit fee I've increased because we will have a yellow book audit will have a grant of more than $750,000, which means that there's a separate audit component that has to be done, and there's an additional fee for that. So that essentially has been added into the fee. Everything else is essentially the same as it was. We're working on getting information if there's going to be a change to any of them, especially the insurance package is one that's always, will it change, will it not? So we're waiting for updates on that. And so currently, we have an $18,000 deficit for next year. Will we have the money? It depends on how much we spend on essentially legal fees in the next, kind of, obviously you see the legal fee spending was $30,000 per bank. Again, depending on the size of the legal fees will depend on how much money we have. I expect we'll have carry forward. And we'll have carry forward to fund this. But again, that just depends on what's going to happen as far, again, probably the biggest component of that being, legal fees.
I just want to remind the gang here, any of the fees that are associated with the property registers that we pay, that they need to go to support operators of the person.
Oh, okay.
I believe we've already submitted some of those, yeah. So,
These for which we are seeking reimbursement, would they have a different line item in the budget to show that we're requesting that reimbursement and what is the proper way they want to do that?
so obviously, so in the miscellaneous income this year, that $17,000 is part of what was, the legal fees that were expended and reimbursed, for I think it was for your fees, right? So no, there's no separate, we don't keep a separate line item for those or anything like that. So obviously they're all together.
The other one is the, payroll taxes. Gone.
Oh, because part of those were for the executive director.
Okay.
So it was, we're in the wrong place, so I had to move it back. Yeah, so.
Here, the yellow policy was.
I think it was $1,800 last year or the year.
And that was for a brief.
So every time you have a grant of more than $750,000, you're required to do additional audit procedures and issue an additional report. Yeah, so I think 2 years ago we had two additional fees because there was two separate grants. So we've been paying it. It is part of the grant, so obviously it's directly related to the grant. So. It's not an F-dollar requirement, it's over our general requirements, it has nothing to do with that dollar. It would be what our, so those are the fair rates, not F-dollar.
What would be going to do
We've had several over the last few years. Obviously, we had the training, but that was probably 4 years ago. Obviously, we had the tugboat, which is the federal grant.
you said last week?
Right. Where, the crane may be one of them because obviously, the crane grant is still open, right? So I'm talking about the $5 million grant, right? The two North Carolina cranes, right? So that grant is still actually open, and that was probably 2 years ago. And then when there was a tugboat, and again, remember, it's when the grant is completed, right, that it gets audited. So, we purchased it maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we purchased tugboat until the grant is completed. Right?
So if we wanted to request about what would
Yeah, I can look at the operator now, because we think the language there, grants, and I'm not sure what y'all done in the past. Grant, paid.
Right, so this has only occurred in the last 4 or 5 years, right? So obviously before then, grants of this size, of the size we've had in the last 4 or 5 years, have been very rare, and actually never occurred as far as before. And essentially grants of $750,000. The first one was probably the $2 million crane grant. And then obviously the two North Carolina cranes, which was a $5 million project. And then obviously the tugboat. And now, as I said, the on-site port warehouse being constructed. And there's probably another warehouse in between there somewhere, hopefully more than $750,000 too, because we, the fabric warehouses. I'm pretty sure we're above that $750,000 mark. So,
I think this is specific on to these, that.
It seems to me that if we have those types of, one-off expenses that are incurred because of activities like that, that would be the type of thing we could seek reimbursement for. Because we are passing through the proceeds of the grants, and we have taken a position with additional legal fees. Because we really don't have a corresponding increase in revenue to support, we don't have a corresponding increase in fees to support those charges, so.
and again, I'm pretty sure we talked about it 2 years ago, when should we or should we not, and they are part of the grant, just like the FDOT fees, right, are part of the grant. The administrative fee we pay to, not to FDOT, to the council, right, so, and I'm pretty sure, I don't remember if we prepared an invoice or not, but we certainly discussed whether it should be reimbursed on the bottom.
I think it makes sense, because if we're gonna have a project, and whether or not to go after a grant, and you look at all the costs of going after that project, and going after grant funding, and getting it off the ground. Part of that analysis should include the costs of the administration of the grant, if there's any cost related to that. And if the activity, the proposed project doesn't support that, then, you know, we shouldn't be doing it, and that's really, you know, a project that offers to move forward. So I think it makes sense that that would be part of their analysis. But it sounds like we need a little bit more background. Do you need any consensus from the board this time? All right. Okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were going through.
No, that's fine. So, again, I don't have, so on reimbursed expenses, obviously, remember, it's either additional income or it's overspending of the amount, right? So it depends on, so let's say, you know, the tax credit case, right? If we stay within the $5,000 a month budget, then the funds we're getting reimbursed for are additional funds available, right? So if we exceed the $60,000, the $5,000 a month budget, then obviously we need that money to pay those expenses, right? To offset those expenses. So, from a budget perspective. So it just depends on the total budget and what other cases are going on, obviously, and the total fees, things like that, so.
Well, I don't want to comment on the litigation regarding the tax collector case. But open defense, that stands to the benefit of the underlying operations of the court. So I think that's the basis of seeking the indemnity for that, as opposed to putting it up on $5,000. So the budgeted amount of $5,000, as I understand it, is to support legal advice at the board meeting. So that this operations, these meetings, that's fine, that's the $5,000. Not litigation that would arise out of the OPA, OPA owned assets, but that's not, but this is going to be budget for.
Absent any act of litigation, it's over $5,000. Right. I think that's the point.
And we'll just realize that that's double what we spent 5 years ago.
Right.
The legal budget was $2,500 a month for support of mission activities. So there is, so whether there's one to support the ongoing litigation costs is whatever.
Yeah.
But the ongoing support, if you look at the budget for 5 years ago, it would have been half that. So obviously, if anyone has any input on the budget, obviously we continue to refine it as we move forward. The plan is, again, at this point right now, we have the money to fund this whole roof for 2025. Again, just to, obviously, and Patrick, you know, the problem is it's hard to forecast legal fees, right? So it's, you know, kind of a, but at this point, we have the money to fund it. But we'll have the funding reserves to fund the overage. So there's no action needed at this point to cut any items off the budget to decide making decisions or anything like that. Obviously, I'll keep you updated if that situation changes. So if anybody has any, so we'll continue to refine this. Obviously, at the September meeting, we'll approve the budget, the overall total budget for the port. So we have between now and September to, again, refine, discuss, add items, take away items, whatever. So that's the budget.
You mentioned the increase in attorney fees. So historically, when we were here way back before we spent that much on attorney's fees, what's driven that increase in spending?
Obviously, there's more litigation, there's more, you know, kind of ongoing issues. You know, changing the commissioners. I don't know, you know, you have to ask the previous, there are several previous attorneys, you can ask that, you know. And obviously, remember, I mean, before Worldwide took over, the money in the budget was very tight. Everything was going towards bond payment. And there was no additional money to do anything else. So obviously part of it is you have the money to spend. Because previously we did not have the money to spend. The budget for the port authority was $100,000. That was it. There was no additional funds at all available. The operator wasn't willing to provide more funds, no matter how good of a year the port was having, because all that money had to go to pay debt. So it is, yeah.
I remember from reading newspaper articles at the time that the attorney, Ms. Clyde Davis, said that the court wasn't paying all of the legal fees all the time incurred. He frequently said that the court wasn't paying.
Well, because they didn't have the money. Right. So, and obviously he was, you know, but obviously when the special things like the bond retirement came along, when the acquisition of Worldwide Terminals, there was additional fees incurred, and those were not in the budget, those were paid from the bond, right, from the bond, and obviously in the purchase, there was legal fees paid for the port authority. So those two big transactions, right, so when Worldwide Terminal took over from Kinder Morgan, or sorry, when Savage essentially took over from Kinder Morgan, no, sorry, when Worldwide Terminals took over for Kinder Morgan, there was additional legal fees, obviously. Those were paid as part of that transaction, and the same thing in the bonds issue. Those were paid as part of that transaction. So.
Back in 2018, when this board voted on the operating agreement, the chair at the time asked for a termination for cause term within the agreement. And the response from Mr. Bertucci was that that would be accomplished by overtaking Worldwide Terminals support. That was pathetic. And Commissioner Forward, you were on board at the time, you turned to one of the other board members and you said that they needed to get on board to vote for that agreement.
That's correct. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't have to allow it. The same holding to the.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so on the budget discussion, just could you update us as to the timeline for approval and when we need to have, you know, material discussions about line items?
So we have, the final budget needs to be approved by the time the new fiscal year starts. which is October 1st. So the September meeting, whether we have one or two meetings, whether we wait till the last meeting, it doesn't matter. But the September meeting, at one of the September meetings, we need to approve the budget. So that it goes into effect October 1st. We have until then to discuss any of these items, to add any items. As I said, as it stands right now, and again, as our cash position stands right now, we have no issues going into 2024 with the budget as it is printed right now. So, okay.
So looking at the meeting schedule, for the summer, and people have travel plans, kids are out of school, and it goes pretty quickly. So do we want to schedule a workshop to discuss just the budget? That's typically the way we handle it in the past. Is the board in favor of the workshop? Okay. So looking at the calendar for availability into July, we do have that mediation on July 2nd on Tuesday. And then we have our, the holiday that we have our regularly scheduled meeting July 10th. Oh, I guess we normally have that second meeting on the 24th. We could do it at that second meeting, just focus just on the budget. What's the will of the board?
I would say we could do it earlier than the meeting, a little bit of time to talk about it then, or discuss it in the regular.
One of the follow workshop. If anything else comes up, we could have the agenda. You need to monitor.
So would you like to do that a different week and then we keep the regular schedule meeting also? Does that leave us enough time here to adopt the budget?
Yeah.
And,
Oh,
September, we got a Labor Day holiday there too. Okay. All right, so pending any other items that come up, we will, shoot your 24 as a budget discussion. Great.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Lizzie.
I would like to inform the board that last week I took my laptop, my OPA laptop, to be cleaned, and I was advised that the internal drive is almost to capacity. So it's either I need a bigger drive, and he quoted me for $385 for the drive and labor.
Mhm.
Or I could buy a new laptop. It runs from $2,000 because there's no guarantee. He said that the USB ports will continue to work. This is from 2018. I believe Ms. DeBella bought this.
Okay.
So just want to inform the board, and I have to do that sooner than later.
And you also mentioned to me about IT support, which I need. So just put that together for us so that we can include that in our discussion and make adjustments. And
Okay, because the admin or office expense is budgeted for 4,000. And you all saw all the invoices that I've been receiving, it's going up.
all right, thanks for letting us know.
Thank you.
Okay, next up. Let's see where we are. ARPA reimbursement update budget. We did discuss ARPA, correct? Can we skip it? We can skip it.
So, as I said, when we were doing the report, the last reimbursement, January through April came in, the next reimbursement will be probably September, August, September, will be the final reimbursement. That's about, huh?
how much?
60,000.
Any other questions from here? Okay,
That's not shown, but, yeah.
thank you for your, item 8D, for the Indian operator report.
I'm sorry, just,
Go ahead.
Danny, that's not shown in the 2024-25 budget, because the money is expected to come in this year. There will be no offer reimbursements, there will be no grant reimbursements in 24-25. So if we're gonna fund this budget, it'll be with carry forward funds that we have in the bank already.
So we have Miss Virginie Hakala. Is it Hakala or?
Hakala,
Hakala. The reports,
Absolutely. I thought I would share and please just introduce myself to everybody. It's my first time here. Very happy to be here with you. And thank you for the opportunity to sit at this table today. So my name is Virginie Hakala. I am the commercial manager and I work, I want to say, full-time here at Nassau Marine Terminal. I want to say 95% of the account that I work for are related to the operation here and also the operation that we have in Yulee and in Friendly Road. So happy to be here to present the report today. I'm hoping you have a chance to see it, otherwise it's on the screen. But for the month of May, it was a record month for us. It was, as you can see, we had overall 7 vessels at dock and a great volume of wood pulp, which is very interesting. If you look also at the different lines at the bottom, you're going to see exactly the great increase in wood pulp, but also a little bit of a decrease in KLB. That is going to be fixed as well for the upcoming months. I just noticed that we have 2 ships coming in July for KLB. So overall, very excited to share these number with you. And if anyone has any question on the numbers. Most of it, sometimes it's import or export based on where it's going, but right now it goes on the port or Friendly Road or
Just an import, going to.
some of it, it's a lot of import, some of it comes from Sweden. So most of it right now comes from Sweden. 2 different companies.
Where it's going to be used in the United States.
That's a good question. But I know that we call, if I'm not mistaken, usually eventually end up in toilet paper and any other product related to toiletry. But I'm not sure which is the end receiver right now.
What do we export? Export to what country?
For now, it's mostly import. I would have to look at, I don't think we have any export right now. I would also,
Well, that's pretty.
thank you.
The only export that I can see it,
Correct, but yeah, paper. I would also like to share, if you all agree, I would just like to highlight the Crimson Clover barge opportunity that we had the opportunity to sign earlier this year. I know it's not related to this report specifically, but wanted to highlight. Overall, we started receiving some cargo last week officially for the Crimson Clover barge. The first voyage is going to be July 3rd to this day. So very excited. And if I can say being on the front line with this customer right now, it also opens other doors. So basically we are meeting with their customer right now and trying to set up their account, trying to support them as much as we can. But I've seen other opportunities falling from these introductory meetings and whatnot. So just wanted to share a little bit of my reality with you today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, that's all for the report. Business, the next item relates to capital improvements and repairs. We just combine those 2 items. We know there were some emails back and forth. Commissioner Nelson has been leading the charge with just requesting updates and in his physical visits to the port, identifying where there are some needed improvements. Did you want to take that one? Needed improvements, maintenance improvements.
Didn't we have something from Kyle, what,
We did.
we had that,
Sorry, sir, it came in late, so it did not make it to, in the packet.
So, Virginie, I know you may not have seen that last email come through from Kyle. I don't know. Okay,
If you want me to read it as well, it's,
sure.
all right. I'm assuming we're all talking about the well,
Yeah, it's, we have a hard time.
is that good? Thank you so much, yes, all right. I just want to make sure I have a copy of the 11, 12 a.m. Is that what we're looking for? Excellent, so good morning, or at this time of evening. Tugboat, nothing to report, security, no security concern. Lever crane 9, back in service, will work next week. Lever crane 10, running well, currently working a vessel. Liver NHC running well, going to do some engine work next week. OPA trucks number, all OPA trucks are running in service, typical maintenance. Warehouse 3, roof panels, no change in roof, need funding for warehouse rehabilitation. Wear on concrete at low dock, this should be added to the scope of that project. Rail dock, canopy, roof complete, adding letters late July.
Chair, that's covered under the committee reports. So it is kind of confusing. If you're gonna do it that way, then let's do it that way. If you're not, the port operator code. But that falls under the, port facility maintenance and repair. Equipment.
Yeah, just to explain, the reason why we kept it on the action items is so that if we needed to take action, we can take action before. But apparently, and I don't refer to you as.
But I would like to make a footnote on that. It takes multiple emails to try to get something. It was sent yesterday. We were asked as commissioners to give them a notice that we're going to show up, which is absurd. We do it anyway. All right, we want to be a team player. To what extent, I'm not sure. But it was sent yesterday. I didn't receive it until today at 11 something. So that's unacceptable. So, maybe we can, ask the operator if, they're wanting it done where they supply the report, do it in a timely manner, so I have time to look it over, go out there and follow up. Can't follow up at noon time on the day of the meeting. So, I'll leave that one there. Now, you want me to go ahead and cover the rest of the security?
You can if you
I
want.
mean,
So security is, do you think it relates to the capital improvements or Portage Street repairs as well?
I mean, I was thinking that we were gonna follow the agenda here, go to, whole business and work our way down.
If anything you're presenting, you think that's like an action item for us? we can
Well,
take it
I
down.
mean, I was hoping that we'd hurry up and get to the tugboat, because I really got to be for that.
All right, well, the next item on the agenda is the old business, the Allied contract, which is also an action item. So if we wanted to move on to that, we can. And that's part of the security, I think. So, and I apologize for the duplication. I'm just trying to blindside you for dates. I did actually get all these items action, it's just in case we needed. Patrick?
Sure, we're talking about the Allied, Universal Security Contract. What you have is, revised amendment, so now it's called Amendment 2. If you recall, there was Amendment 1 to the contract that had the rates. And so when I looked at the contract itself and annual renewal, it didn't sound like from the previous discussion, any of the other terms of that contract were at issue or needed to be changed. And so I reached out to Allied and so they could provide a revised Amendment 2 that covered what was discussed at the last meeting. If you all want to do that differently, then let me know. That was the discussion, when Allied's here. So they revised their Amendment 2. I shared it with Greg Hale. He didn't have any problems, so it's just in front of you for consideration. I should have written down a timeline, but we probably need to make a decision in July, I think it automatically moves in August, or the end of August.
It's 10.
August tenth for the next time. So, if you need to look at it, if you want them to come back, I told them that I think it was not gonna do all of the work necessary to come back for this meeting. But that's what you have in front of you. So the national contract will remain the same, has an annual renewal. This, Amendment 2 would be the change, which then affects pay rate and cost and all that, so that's why I shared it.
Okay, I noticed in the additional notes that there's some payment provisions and the golf cart, it really wasn't something that we had asked about, changing as a new fee. There's an overtime, section, and then there's the additional billing terms. We review that to see if that resulted in any material change to the agreement.
I mean, they are changes, but the direction, you know, I was given was to see if we can get a revised amendment to the contract and the rate. So I didn't want to take another fork down the road without you all giving such direction. We have comments on the additional notes, so I need to scrutinize those further, happy to do so, and just bring it to the package in July. I didn't get any comments from anyone on this document before tonight, other than Greg with Savage saying it was good to them for release these notes from for us. So I couldn't really follow what we wanted to do with golf cart or not do with golf carts, but I didn't start redlining the
Carol Creech and I, it was discussed at a previous meeting at the forum, we were just generalizing what was going on. And we said it, that we were doing the way it's golf. Right. It's going to come out. Okay. Right. So without that, I think everything should be, and I also got word that Savage didn't have any problem.
Have you had a visual response that sounded good with it, or?
I have a good response from there.
Okay.
So if you want, what I can do is I'll go through the additional notes, make my comments, send them back to Allied, and then present final version of it. And the master contract is going to be the same, so it's really the final version of Amendment 2 for you all to approve, adding it to the current master contract.
We define this as the, HTLIAUS technology platform. I got it. Did you review that as being like a new thing or not?
No, put it from you all. So, I mean, based on this discussion, I'm happy to do that. And if you all have any comments on the notes, I've got. So we're going to take the golf cart out and the comments, and let me know in the next, couple of weeks, and I'll bring a revised full document, mass contract, and amendment for approval of the law.
Do you want a recent vision of that, with the golf cart out of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, sorry. Commissioner Nelson, you wanted me to remind you about the paid vacation and paid holiday for the security.
And, the discussion is going on, at the time, Clark had no problem with the vacation. I think that was also part of the presentation that we got. That was in there.
Are you asking for a change? Are you asking for a deadline? To the proposal? Sorry, I didn't quite hear you.
I say just get rid of the golf cart and should be good, because everything else was accepted.
Okay.
One more thing, Madam Chair, sorry. I forwarded an email to the board from Wiser Security on May 30th. Do you all want to consider their proposal or?
So if we're gonna consider unsolicited proposals, we're going to do an RFP and open it up, and that's, we talked about that the last, so the last discussion was, we were happy with the service, we were happy with the employees, we were happy with the master contract, we're not happy with the pay, and not happy with the job. So we want to continue on an annual automatic renewal of the existing contract with some modifications to the amendment, and we can do that. We're going to start entertaining other proposals, and I'm suggesting we do it more formally and official, and open it up. Everybody else.
No, I don't see that. No,
So
not at this point.
do we have the authority to agree to a increase in the existing agreement without putting it back out to bid?
We have an existing contract that has an automatic renewal provision or under an automatic renewal right now. So we're changing.
Okay, so the annual cost of this amendment is $215,660. And the difference is what compared to the existing? So it's what percentage increase,
I don't know. It's a bit-
do you know here?
Okay.
So do we know definitively that we can approve an increase of an amount to existing contract without putting that up there?
Yeah, we have an existing contract, changing pay rates.
We've already got approval from the operator that they don't have a problem.
It's more having a meeting divided between this body and the service provider. And that's what I'm worried about. They proposed, they were here, you're all getting feedback. I asked them to prepare this amendment. They did that. That's what I got.
I think it's all itself. With the presentation, removing the golf cart, everybody's agreed on the increase, so we need to move forward.
No, I'll bring in the full package and all the changes, I'll make sure I notice. And I'll put them out.
And you're saying $7,000 to the dollar.
Well, that's existing job. That's a that was okay. The old business, item number 9B, over property sale, it's a judgment to over and there's an email attached to the agenda that, we're considering provided some suggestions on property sale. Did anybody have any comments or discussion about those suggestions?
I think if we are at least building. That's gonna see that as well.
Okay, so when we first took down this road, that I really start properties, we were trying to determine what the potential uses would be to modify the plan. It was originally acquired in 2004. And there was a lot of public outcry about those activities on the site. The land was acquired prior to the discussion about proposed uses of the property. And then subsequently, there's been a motion of the structure on its properties and OPA applied for a approval with the Zorba Council. Apparently, according to the minutes of the meeting, it sounds as if, the city and OPA agreed to a settlement, we parted with $5,000 into the Zorba Council. And I'm clear on what it means, but from the minutes of those meetings, what was really clear to me is that what OPA did wrong at the time was not disclosing the purpose of the acquisition or its intended strategy and policies, regarding use of public funds and public lands. And what I see here today is a similar repeat of the same procedure. So, if we're going to engage in land transactions, we be very clear about what we're doing with public funds. We need to be disciplined in using funds the way we say we're going to use them. Accountability, transparency, public interest, informed decision-making, and legal and regulatory compliance. So we are subject to legal requirements and regulations governing the use of proceeds from asset sales. And failure to disclose the use of proceeds could constitute a violation of those requirements and could expose us to additional legal and reputational risks. So, I think we need to be much more transparent about our purpose for these funds. It fosters public trust and confidence in government. The use of the proceeds from the sale of a public asset should serve the public interest and should align with our mission and objectives. And disclosing the intended use of those funds allows for stakeholders and constituents to assess whether the proposed use of funds is consistent with the public interest and community needs.
But we can't say what we're gonna spend it on until we, I don't know what we got.
You know, you just said, I really don't. Why you saying that? We voted to sell that property, that the people that we sell it to build a house. Single family home. It is on R2, but it is still, with a resolution from the board, designating that it be used for single family homes, we do. We have, when we receive that money, part of that money is going to be put into a resolution in the next meeting. It will be to go to repurpose that to Customs House, so when the Customs Board moves out, we can use that Customs House as knowledge. But we need to do some remodeling, so some of that money can be used for remodeling. The rest of the money will be put in, you explain that, we use the rest of the money, what we do with it. It's up to the board, right, what we talk about. But what we discussed with the government before, you need to drive and where this money is going to be out.
And right now, we can put it in a fund and our resolution that make where that money can be used and what it can be used for. So I'll put in that resolution next meeting. But we just need to make sure that the board understands we need to vote on a resolution to sell the property as it stands, R2, and in the resolution, it will be designated single family homes. And whatever the city rules are about doing that, and, all of it. That's what I'm going to do.
Madam Chair?
So now, so you're going to present a resolution at the next meeting, what the property is going to be, like, it's going to be sold, and it's good for residential use, or you're presenting a resolution for what we're going to do with that,
I was presenting two resolutions. What, to sell the property, are in the R2 designation, and put, the restrictions on the at the same time. And then I'll put another resolution about what to do.
Did we have a listing area that had, I mean, there was a listing area that was, provided, right, that had, and restricted was listed on there, and it had, I mean, if we sold the property, so I don't understand the resolution for that, and would that, they have something on this.
So the previous board action was the hearing purpose. And the list here did have some other conditions, listed out. I think what Commissioner Ford is saying is that his resolution would say, that again, confirming it's R2, and the reason I think that he's bringing that up is R2 allows multi. So it's R2, the deed restriction will limit it to single family. And to have a resolution that said that that's what we're selling property at, that's the limitation on property, so it's known, which the agreement goes into effect and move forward. And a separate resolution says any of the sale proceeds from that property are allocated to X, Y, Z. That's my option.
Yeah.
So I think the resolution on the property itself and the deed restriction is sort of one more step confirmation. If we have a listing agreement, I'm not sure it's been executed. Because we kind of paused and there were other discussions, and we go back to it, we want to stick with the same broker. So I'm not sure that the listing agreement itself has been executed, or I think what Commissioner Poole is proposing is that the subsequent resolution would say, this is what the property is, and this is what we're going to limit it to in our sale. We're limiting it to single family. The reason for that, there's been much discussion about what these deed restrictions would be, getting into as much detail as side yard setbacks, front yard setbacks, height, things like that. My recommendation, in order to limit this board's liability and involvement, given that you don't have staff to manage property, would be sell it as what it is and be as concise and limited in the deed restriction that you propose. So if you want single family only, then just say that and let the city code dictate the rest of the requirements so that you're not having to enforce the contract to sell property, then somebody decides they want to do something else with it. Now you're chasing them. So leave it done the way it is, give one deed restriction, single family homes, the buyer has to deal with any adjustments that the city may require, and you're just saying, all we want is single family. And separately, what's gonna happen with the sale proceeds, where is that going? That's my understanding. I would strongly advise against any type of lease, short-term, long-term, anything like that. You don't have a property manager on staff. You don't have somebody that can chase rent. You don't have somebody that can go out there and fix property, whether it's access or anything that comes up. You don't have anybody that can do that. You don't want to be able to see the manager. So you're going to move forward, but you've already decided to enter into a listing agreement. And I think what Commissioner Ford is proposing is let's take the next step and make that happen. And let's be specific on what that deed restriction is going to be, because there's a lot of discussion about what people wanted, and we asked to put a bunch of deed restrictions on it. Again, you're going to have to enforce those. They're your deed restrictions. So my recommendation would be is concise and limited in those restrictions as you can, so it's clear, you're in and out, you don't have to chase somebody down and ensure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay, and I heard the second resolution being where the money's to go. I heard that we're going toward the custom house, and we can actually turn that into office space. So I haven't heard anything yet about investing, capital investment, something that can help generate, revenue. But maybe that's not even undecided. I have a plan.
Some of that coming, and you heard tonight about, from economic development, how we can probably use some of that money out of the county to do things with. And I'm gonna get with Sherry and find out what those might be, and we'll put that in the resolution, to use that money for that. For whatever we don't use for the customs house, we can put in a reserve fund. And designate through the resolution what that money can be used for, what it can be used for. But that's where the time right now is. I think we've delayed this long enough. I know that you two don't want to sell the property at all, and you're trying to do everything you can to do away with that. We'll go to week 2 to sell that property. I'm going to try to get it done successfully and to everybody's liking and to the benefit of the board.
This board has been short-sighted, work, and not having to see again. And so when I sit there and keep asking, what's the plan, what's the plan, what's the plan? And we've been talking about that, and I'm not here to plan. I heard the last meeting, we said that we're going to bring a plan, for next month, or what we do with money. Still have it, but so I'm glad that you'll have it next month or the next meeting, but it's, we've got to set ourselves up for success here. And when we go and jump in these, make these decisions, it seems so short-sighted. We're not thinking about long-term success of what we can do.
Well, what if you come up with something we can't do? But I want that to be one of the,
You've sat on this board for 16 years, and this property has been sitting there 16 years, and nothing has been done.
that's
So you think you're gonna be, you can tell the public, and they're gonna believe that we're gonna be more responsible and effective with cash. Okay. Selling land
I
is
think
one.
that.
It's not a sustainable solution for ongoing maintenance and operations expenses. We should explore any other revenue sources before we resort to selling land. It's a one-time trip.
That's right. It's how I want to vote it. It's been voted. We've decided on.
It's my job as an elected official, just as it is for each other member of this board, to defend the public assets. And as long as we sit in the seat, each of us should defend the public interests and advocate for transparency and accountability. And voting for actions without having clear directions of what we're going to do with funds is not responsible.
Well, you'll find.
I guess the public will too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did ask Patrick to opine on section 2.3 of the operating agreement for repair and maintenance on this item. Because I know that one of the suggested uses of the funds is for a structure that has historically been the obligation of the operator to repair and maintain. And that section, if I may just read what Patrick said, is that section 2.3 of the operating agreement, repair, maintenance, and refurbishment of OPA facilities or equipment that exceeds $15,000 would be reimbursed by OPA to the port operator if reasonable and not caused by negligence of the operator and funds are available. So if OPA has funds available to participate, we would participate in those activities. And historically, we have that funds available. So we look to the operator to maintain the customs house in good working order, and then if they have passed, the windows being replaced for the historic district code. And those maintenance expenses are inherent costs of business, the custom house serves the board. And so it makes sense that the operator should factor in that as a cost of doing business to the overall profitability equation of the board. And distributing those costs based on operational responsibility reflects fair and equitable allocation of resources. And it acknowledges the contributions and obligations of the party involved. So those maintenance and obligation expenses, the warehouse, the customs house, they are the obligation of the operator because the operator receives revenues that flow from these assets. We don't receive those revenues yet. So we don't have the ability to contribute, and that's why we haven't sort of contributed. So if there's need for maintenance on those buildings, that's the obligation of the operator to keep those buildings in working order. And I know it's sometimes a difficult conversation with the side, but that is what the operating agreement says. And so we need to press for those upgrades and those improvements to keep things in good working order, not to make it better than what it is, or to make it more than we needed, but to keep it in a sustainable, and safe, and preserving the value of the assets and ensuring the continued functionality of what it's doing. So I look forward to hearing your proposal. The next item
Well, my proposal, well,
for what to do, what you intend to do with the proceeds.
okay. I'll go. So it's.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the 9C, open document request support. Patrick, do you have an update on
So we've gone through, a bit of these again, where, you know, always going back. Here's a conversation, trying to be mindful of what we're doing in any given month, and we're preparing for mediation, but we have gone through some of these documents, and there are invoices for hub services and things like that, pretty, it's not rudimentary information, but it's just copies of invoices. It's not like I can look at a chart and see breakdown, it's not a report, it's just documents. So we are going through some of those, it does. And I spoke to Commissioner Nelson very briefly about this earlier today. There do seem to be documents in there that demonstrate or representatives of, you know, tug operations and charters for it, and visits and things like that, so, what time span they cover and all of that, you know, we're still kind of working through. You know, putting an associate on this and try to limit expenses, and so it's an explanation of what we're looking for, what stuff needs, but there is some information there. So we'll continue to go through it and give you an update as we have.
Okay. We've gotten kind of just million responses, and I apologize because I'm coming back from the town with, Vice Chair Taylor did a great job of sort of feeling, you know, emails all the time. But, did we get something that was like a cohesive report from them? I mean, looking here, it looks like there's like an email exchange. Are they giving the type of report that we expect to receive when we're receiving the share, the revenues?
I don't see any regular reporting, and we discussed that more recently. I mean, this information that I'm talking about is stuff we got in the fall.
Right.
And it's more of just a document built, as opposed to quarterly reporting, monthly reporting on the plan itself. Sort of.
And then we recently discussed financial reporting that aligns to what's provided to bondholders. And just following that same cadence, because it wouldn't really require, you know, an additional style of report or additional work effort. To provide the same level of reporting that bondholders receive, since we are the issuer of bonds. Would that make sense, or are we?
Would, I am speaking. That I need to see the chair that time.
Commissioner Hudson?
Madam Chair, forgive me for my frustration. But if Commissioner Forward would call me when I was a phone manager and said, hey, tell me what you made on that code. I'd come, give me 10 minutes and I'll call you back and give you the information. You know, we need to quit tolerating the smoke. I mean, it's the same way with the Suffolk situation now. I asked for information on 523. I sent a follow-up email on 530. I sent another email on 610. We sat here as a commission and said, we want to put that code up where somebody can look at it, they can give us a fair market value. The operator has done nothing but stonewall, obstruct, you name it, they've done it to try to keep him off of that dock and away from that code. I've asked for some very simple information that if they would allow the code captain to talk to me, I can get it in about 10 minutes. But they have him on shutdown. They won't let him talk to me. He won't take my calls and won't answer my texts. And I tell you, I've known that captain a long time. He's never done it. So if we're gonna sit back and tolerate this, then you get what you got coming. Me, I'm tired of dealing with it. And it needs to be brought out that when we ask for something, it's not that we don't have the right to that information. We do have the right to it. Because that is a publicly owned cover. We have to give an account. Now, I can help you if you want the map. You can probably figure this up. All you need is the total number of vessels from July 2022 to current. The vessels that tugboat is touched and has $6,500 penalty. Now, this would be, that's your money. I'm sick and tired of every time we ask something, I'm not prepared to give you that. Well, you need to come to these meetings prepared. And you need to give us the information that we asked for. And if this board is going to sit back and allow them to stonewall us the way they've done it, you get what you got. I think we owe the House simple information. The hours on the engines, the hours on the generator, a copy of what they've done at the shipyard, and the COI. That's all he's asking for. We need to get it to them. And we need to find out what they're willing to pay for that. So you never know. That's what we said here, the consensus. We want to know what the value of that boat is. And we've got an operator that says we want it, so we're not going to have to assess it. I went down there and had it locked up. So I sent the email, said I'm bringing the tools back to unlock. And then they wanted to say, okay, we'll have the cook captain down here and the deck hand had it unlocked. I'm frustrated with them. Because they're not being transparent, they're not being upfront. We've been asking for stuff since September, and we still don't have it. What they did give him was just something to keep him busy.
So the council did get a chance to look at the stuff.
We did, and they're really interested in the budget.
That segues into the next agenda item. And Commissioner Nelson, thank you for that comment. I'm all for taking items off the agenda. We still have a long ways to go with that. All for taking items off the agenda. If we could get this document request item closed out, I would love that. And I would be very happy if what we're getting was in line with what the bondholders received. And it's already public, so I think that should be easy. I think. So the next item up, if there's no further discussion on that, is the old business, MARAD, the options for the tug, and then after that, if there's no objection, we'll take a brief recess. So, Patrick, could you just summarize where we are with the MARAD?
I don't think that fully planning it out. You get online, they'll present provided with the email from Tim Pickering with.
Yes.
The works for the.
It's right up.
Basically, like, I can't get to it.
It says that,
So there's a breakdown, that's what they looked at, they consulted with their council. And so this is based on our discussion that we're terminating the MARAD grant and quote unquote disposing of the tug, or I'm sorry, terminating the MARAD grant and reimbursing them their contribution. This is what they received. So that was us confirming with them what steps we need to take in order to terminate this grant and make MARAD whole and quite remain with it and move on. This is their explanation. So this didn't come from me, so I hesitate to say something other than what we've got.
okay, so it sounds like that the termination is still on the table. That mutual agreement is acceptable. So we just need to provide a written notice for termination. But behind that, like, or I guess before we do that, so that's what we said to MARAD, but on our side, we need an agreement with the operator that supports our termination of the grant because we need funds to do that.
Right.
So we have to have the funds within 30 days, or no, within 30 days, they'll tell us they accept the termination and they'll tell us the next step. We don't know how soon after that we need funds.
No, we can certainly ask them. My recommendation, vis-a-vis the agreement with the operator would be now, we can have agreement regarding the transfer of the fund and how that's going to work, and also the transfer of the vessel from open to them and the restrictions you would want, namely the only one I recall being specifically discussed is that the priority of that vessel will be to service the port. We want to make sure that that's in the agreement, that we are transferring the vessel to them. And the primary purpose is that it stay here and service the facility. Obviously, there's going to be great additional detail in such a brief that's generally what we discussed. So from DOT, it's open notifies DOT, if you want to terminate this grant, and here's why. We explain we have to come up with marine highway concept. And then within 30 days, they will provide a response accepting the termination and outlining the next steps. So I can certainly ask within those next steps, how quickly do we have the funding to you, so that we're aware of it. build that to our agreement with the operator. Obviously, my recommendation would be if we're going this way, then operator wants us to need to prepare these agreements between us and them, for our review, but I haven't, beyond this email, I haven't taken any action, without further direction.
Okay, so is the recommended action that we need to prepare that with this, that we should.
We want to start the process of terminating the grant. That's the next step of what it needs to take, is to notify Aaron, we want to terminate and why.
And we need a draft of agreements from the operator.
We don't need it as far as they're concerned.
No,
But we need to start working on it.
right, so the operator should draft agreements.
Yeah, then I can communicate with, their council. And then just bring it forward.
Well, I mean, considering that the grant is not being used, the grant funding is not being used for the purpose that was approved and that's been well documented. And there isn't a plan and it's not even viable for us to ever be wide. I don't see the alternative.
So do you want to see a draft letter?
I think
From
we should,
Oakwood
I
to
think we should
Merritt?
have consensus that we're good with this.
Okay.
Simple.
So the notice to Marriott from Oakwood will be to notify them of our wish to terminate the grant and the reason therefore. Now, and
Do we need a vote?
you're not voting on anything that's in front of you, you're voting on concepts, so I hate to say, you don't, but I prefer it, we're, as far as I know, we're not in a huge rush. I would prefer to prepare a letter from this board and have you vote on it, I think it should come from the chair. That's what I would prefer. I think we're okay if we're giving consensus, notify Marriott and when to terminate the grant and give them the reasons why. I think we're okay there. I would prefer to take the time to write a letter, have you all look at it, say, yes, it's what we're going to do. In the meantime, I can respond to this email and say, can you give us an indication of how quickly we're going to need to have these funds? Because we've got to come up with an agreement with the port operator. They've been responsive, they've been helpful. So I'd rather take the time to do that, and I don't see a rush on this and something on the other, but I'd rather do it.
So you bring that to the next meeting or to the.
Sure.
Okay, great.
How soon could you get it from the college?
As soon as he gets the information that I've been trying for a month to get. He can probably get the hours and day.
Is that an hour on the week and generate?
Well, generally, he looked at everything exterior. When I went back and got to go inside of the truck, I took photos and vision and everything that I could. He was satisfied with that. He said, I just need this information for their people to make a firm decision on how much.
All right, and those numbers are on the boat, is that correct?
Well,
The engine hours?
yeah, they're in hours, yes, yeah.
All right.
The only thing that he would probably have to get us, is a copy of the invoice from the shipyard, when it was in Jacksonville, and have whatever work that they can want on. You can see on the deck some of the work, and he understood that,
Right.
but he said there's other work that's done below that he needs to see exactly what. It's a simple process.
I think you should be able to go out there tomorrow, if you're available, and do it, go get it.
I need them to give me the numbers. I can get a copy of the COI. I don't have a problem with that. Matter of fact, I actually took pictures of it and sent them.
Mhm.
But the invoice on the shipyard work
Mhm.
is another important document because it will tell the whole story of what was done to that.
For them, don't we have?
No, sir.
I think we were getting ready to that report on this done.
The report, yeah.
So we may have a copy of that, but if you're needing the hours on the judge itself, you should be able to go up and get that tomorrow, and if you would like,
It's an open asset. You should know the life on the asset, you should have access to time and reports. Operating agreement requires us to have access to that information. Equipment maintenance information, logs.
And you get with that, that's done. I mean,
You know, the manufacturer of the ship would be fair. And I know when I was there at the TM, that there were Caterpillar technicians there multiple days during the week working on both of those big cannons. So there was work continuing being done.
You've been very patient.
Pardon?
You have been very patient.
No, really, it has, when you go out there and
So that's really related to the Mara, Patrick's gonna prepare, a formal letter. We're gonna take a brief recess for 10 minutes. We'll reconvene at 8:05.
We're good.
Here, it's 8:05, so we're gonna get started again. Great. Just gonna move to the items. So we have, next up is item 9E, resiliency plan update. And this relates back to the report that we received from Jim McDonald. We kept this on the agenda so that we can approve a final plan. We received that final plan.
We asked for a Word version for the port operator and we got that, and I believe it is the final plan.
Okay. Did you have any comment from, the operator about the resiliency plan or? So the next step would be to apply for funding, and it's a really short timeline. We haven't received, to my knowledge, I don't think we have a request. Were you preparing some of that in CSIP, or where do you stand with?
Correct.
resiliency funding?
The port operator used the resiliency plan for the narratives for the applications. So I forwarded the spreadsheet to the board so that you guys can look at it and approve it. That's an action item. It's 10F.
Okay. So do you want to just take it when we get to that?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. 9F, EPA Complete Ports Grant Update. We have an update?
That was submitted on time, so we're good.
Next. Congratulations again. Okay, 9G, the NASA Tradeplex signage. I understand that the sign is still up for the RV storage folks. Did we provide a notice to them that they need to take it down or just physically take it down?
Their responses are taken down. I mean, they're from out of state, you know, so I think if we don't want to, if they're not interested in having it, we should pass it.
Okay. Yeah, we wouldn't send it in.
We can.
I'll look at it myself and I'll see what I think. Yeah.
Okay, if you get hurt, it's not responsible.
But,
You're on the record.
yeah, but, we need to do some maintenance. We're responsible for it. Those palm trees are hideous and the grass weeds, you know, it needs grass. I can get you a quote, I can get a quote on that. Yeah.
We haven't had any, anyone else want to take over the ownership of that property. It's been more of a liability than an asset. So we do need a plan. We need a plan for that signage, and if we don't have a plan to maintain it and fund the maintenance, then we need to figure out how to feed that over to the property owners.
I
So,
don't think there's like an HOA with them, so
I don't know, I can look at it, you know, I hesitate to spend your time and energy on something that's not generating the revenues, even if they are costs for you all.
okay, I mean, we can take that off the agenda if we don't anticipate taking any action on it in the near future. We'll put that on the next meeting. All right, so 9H, yard waste. So this item pertains to yard waste, which is being deposited by property owners adjacent to the port onto the property, but within the right of way. And I heard Commissioner Ross comment that as a resident that location has been utilized by some of the neighbors to dump the yard waste. Is Oak wish to request to have that cease? It's on Oak property in the right of way.
In the right of way, they can't live it there.
So what I heard from Greg was that they don't want the yard waste on the property. We don't want the yard waste on the property. I'm happy to reach out to the property owner that engaged with our employees, just to ask them respectfully to stop putting their waste. We want to be good neighbors. I think we've done a good job with reaching out to the neighborhood and engaging with each other. In my neighborhood, we have a shared yard waste, location on my property. And 4 other houses put yard waste in that location. And I could just as well take down the railroad ties and say, everybody put it on your own property. Personally, I like it to be in one spot because it makes more sense economically for the yard waste to be picked up in one spot, all those locations. But it's not Opa's responsibility to facilitate that, and I think it does look unsightly to have that, pile in the right of way next to the stop sign. It looks a little haphazard when I saw the pictures. So if it was an organized location, I don't think we would have any objection to it, but it's not something that's compatible with the look of the intersection and the impression that the board wants to make on the community. So, I'll reach out.
Well, the has a lawn maintenance company that takes care of their lawn, that should be responsible to them, say, hey, get rid of this.
Well, and if it's a contractor under the city, under the municipal code, the contractor does have to remove the waste. They can't use the city trash pickup. My understanding was that it was a resident that was, it was actually the property owner, so I think it should be an easy conversation to reach out to them. Okay, and then new business 10A, USCG certificate of documentation. This also pertains to the Fort Clinch tugboat. My understanding is that it is still within its current certification that this is the means by which that vessel is registered, and so it's very important this registration be that current. The direction that I would expect to hear from this board as a whole is that that needs to be renewed as soon as possible. Could you carry that back? And I know that Ricky has been really good about making multiple requests on this issue, but because it's very important that it maintains registration, please do treat that with the utmost urgency. Thank you. And then 10B, this is the North Florida Clean Fuels Board meeting on September 3rd. Rosanna, did you ask for that to be on it?
Yes, ma'am. Marcy at TPO invited OPA to attend that, and rightfully so, because we just applied for the EPA Clean Ports Initiative grant. So they're going to have another meeting September 3rd. Who wants to volunteer to go?
It's a Tuesday. Yeah, we do need to have representation at that meeting. And I can commit to being there unless it's usually a TAC individual or just someone who.
TAC, I believe, is on the Wednesday, correct?
Okay, I'm sorry, I just didn't have an email from her in front of me. Who is she asking to attend? Just someone from OPA or from the operator?
She initially invited Chair.
Okay.
However, you were unavailable, so I called the commissioners and no one was available.
For this past meeting.
Correct.
Okay, when I was.
And so she said, our next meeting is September 3rd. Glad to have OPA there.
Okay.
Perhaps the port operator should go as well,
That would be.
because they just applied for the EPA.
Yeah, and the Clean Fuels Coalition is one of the functions of TPO, and Marcy's really proactive. They've had difficulty getting adoption within school systems, which is kind of interesting. So you would think that would be a great fit for clean fuels for fleet management. But that's something they're really focused on, is to have representation from the school boards. I know there was some discussion about participation from school board members on the TAC. And so it's something that we don't, we're not on the school board, but to the extent that we interact with elected officials or staff members from the city, county, other elected bodies that have fleets, the fleet management implications for the clean fuels funding are just excellent. I mean, the amount of funding that's available in the federal government for improving fleets is very generous. So we can help to move some of that awareness and comfort along just by going to the meetings, educating ourselves, educating others. I was planning to comment on this in the TPO update, but I'm gonna bring Lorelei Jacobs to the meeting tomorrow, to the TPO board meeting. And that's one of the items that she was keen to hear more about, is the Clean Fuels Initiative. Are there any other comments about that item? Like, would any other board members be interested in attending? I'm happy to step aside if someone else wanted to go on September 3rd. Item 10C, the construction lane fabric warehouse, coast to coast. So this item, Rosanna circulated to the board. And, Rosanna, I think we had a comment back from Patrick about that as being resolved.
No.
Not really something that's, it's just the standard notices that provide they completed their work under towards construction law, so it's not an actual lien, it's just a notice that we're a vendor. We're not on a contract with sub, we've done our work, they've got to do that. So that if for some reason they weren't paid, they can then pursue it. I mean, they have to, there's all these statutory steps, I'm not a construction lien lawyer, but it's just a notice that we're a vendor under the contract, we completed our work. So that's really all it is, it's sent to the operator, they know about it. I haven't seen anything else since.
So I reached out to the port operator asking for the invoice because I communicated with Joel Dimick, Savage General Engineer, and also Ben Perry from Coast to Coast, and he said that they sent the invoice for the work, but I haven't seen it, so I asked Savage to give us a copy and please pay Coast to Coast so they can pay the third party. And as of May 29th, the third party was not paid yet.
I know there were some questions about the permit and timing of some of that. Are there any issues that you're aware of? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I don't know how much you can bring up some of these issues, but I guess what I would be looking for from Savage is just confirmation that there's no reason that payment is going to be withheld, and so payment will be forthcoming for the contractor. And if there's some issue with performance or a reason to withhold payment, that we would just be made aware so that we can respond back that there is a performance related issue and that they don't have the right to go in, the payment delays because of
And it
this issue.
is tied to a grant, so we have to submit that invoice, which I don't have. Mhm.
Okay, so we need the invoice. Any other comments on that item? All right, 10D, FEC annual meeting in Pensacola, August 27th through 29th. I believe this is the meeting that Vice Chair Taylor was planning to attend, or
That was,
No.
June.
June
That
19th.
was actually-
Madam
That
Chair,
was
Oh,
canceled.
Juneteenth.
Joanne, you call that week, I will be glad to attend that meeting with the board.
Okay, so this is the annual meeting, and this is an important meeting for the board to send a representative to. Vice Chair Taylor, since you were going to attend the last meeting, did you have an interest in that meeting instead?
I would be glad for, Bishop Wood, to go. Are you gonna be there?
Do that with a long way.
That's,
Sorry, that's
what is it?
the next item.
Oh, okay. All right, are there any further discussion about the TPO meeting in August? Rosanna, are you still able to go to that meeting, or would you be able to go?
Does the board require me to go? Because
No, not at all. If you have a conflict, then I would not expect you to do that.
if I could just check my calendar.
Okay, Sure, we can keep it on the agenda for. All right, item 10E, wharfage and tonnage fees, update from here. So the item you just passed out.
Yeah, so obviously there was a request of what kind of reporting we're receiving from the operator previous when dockage, wharfage and tonnage fees were inside in the contract, right? So there was payments made from the operator to OPA for dockage, wharfage and tonnage fees. I apologize for the smallness, but this is the way the report arrived. We're only looking at the top half because actually the bottom half is the accounting where we're making the journal entries, right? And all it shows, just so this is from February 2016. So these payments, this dockage and wharfage, when we signed the new contract, stopped. So obviously, so I just picked a month, and all it shows is the invoice number. This is National Terminals invoice number, and then the vessel, and then the customer, and then it shows the amounts per the contract. So these are our fees. These are not how much they collected. These are the fees that essentially they've collected for us for tonnage. So you see container tonnage, break bulk tonnage, wharfage, dockage, and then the totals. And then there was also a use fee. So just this is an example. So as I said, as I understand it, what you wanted to see. And so this is, again, we received these on a monthly basis from the operator. Again, this was part of the agreement. What we talked about previously is that we now have the only item that we have currently, although we'll start tonnage here, tonnage fees will kick in with year 7 of the contract. And so we'll expect to receive something similar to this each month with the tonnage amounts that have been collected, and then will be due to be remitted to OHBA. We have the same, obviously we have the same thing with the fees, the admin and bunkering fees, obviously. And again, all that, what this is, it serves as information for us to enter into the accounting registers as receivable. And then obviously what we talked about was our auditor takes the records and audits the books to make sure that they've delivered all the fees that were due to it. So that's what.
You mentioned year 7, that's year coming up.
Correct.
Not one.
Yeah, I believe we're in year 6 right now. I'm gonna have to make sure, but we're in year 6 right now. So in year 7, yes. So the 150 per ton fee kicks in, and part of that fee goes to our account, and part of that to OHPA's account as additional funds that they can spend in whatever manner they want. And part of those fees go into the maintenance fund to fund our maintenance contribution requirement.
Section 6.1 says in the first 6 years, for the execution of this agreement, the operator is allocated $500 per month. The fund capital was related to their fund. Now, facilities fees are right to payable by operator, section 6.3, putting the payment operator. Section 6.5. The minimum commencing in year 7. From this agreement. Year 7 starts. So it would commence in year 7.
Yeah.
That the operator continue to
Right.
fund $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, so
Yeah.
it commences in October.
Right.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because when you say it's not in the year that we're in, it's in 2024. But it's not in the fiscal year.
Fiscal year, sorry. We're talking about total, yes, we're talking about the current fiscal year. And so actually, that brings up the point that we should include some tonnage fees in the operator and our budget.
In our budget.
So they can see and prepare.
I'm sorry, shooting.
Madam Chair, if I could ask, the vessel schedule, Commissioner Nelson, the vessel schedule that I forward to the board, what does that tell us? Does that tell us, and I apologize for my not understanding it, but does it tell us tonnage?
Pretty much just telling me vessel name, inbound, outbound, and usually gives the time.
Okay. So we can use that for when we collect tonnage?
I would always back up anything given with tonnage to be with an agency. Because that's exactly what the captain is signing off on, receiving it through the. That's for sure. Anything else is speculation.
Right, and I would assume that's approximate or estimated tonnage,
Yeah.
not actual tonnage,
Oh.
right? We're talking about here, actual tonnage, right? So
Okay.
until the vessel shows up and how much is removed, that's just an estimate.
It's pretty precise.
The vessel schedule?
Yeah, I do understand the point of what you see, but what you see right now, if you see specific metric tons in there,
Mhm.
it would be what the loader of it.
Okay,
to this.
so that's helpful for when OPA collects their portion for the tonnage. Okay. Got
Or
it.
it could be a good indicator at least.
Okay, thank you. We could refer to it.
So we'll set up whatever mechanism we set up. Obviously, we'll work with the accounting department. This came from the accounting department, right? So obviously, we'll work with the accounting department at Nassau Terminals to determine what information, when the timeliness of the information, obviously, for us to be able to close our books financially. So as I said, part of it will be when we can receive those. As you can see, some of this, what you see here is the top section is actual billed in February. The other ones are January billed in February, right? So the 5 or 6 at the top are actual billed in February. The other ones are January ships that were billed in February. So as I said, then this is the February tonnage report. So there is obviously there is a time that it takes to obviously for the operator to prepare the invoices, to gather the information, send it to us. So, and all that stuff at the bottom is us making the accruals for to account for it each month. So
Okay, thank you for preparing that or bringing it forward. Are there any other questions on the item? I have 10F, the CSIP application.
So we need board approval for me to submit the applications. You all read and saw the spreadsheet from the operator. Those are the projects that he's going to apply for. I just need board approval to submit the applications through CSIP.
Chair, was the customs and border,
Building, construction.
part of that?
It is not part of the spreadsheet I forwarded to you because the operator is going to add that as application number 10, but I haven't received that yet.
You know, how much that would be for?
I do not know, sir.
That's for the specific scope. I can find out. And
Yeah,
get back to you.
Well, I'm gonna give you some information.
And see if, there is-
And you all received the report from Siskovich that came last.
So according to the cover email, we were waiting for feedback from FPC as to whether we should apply for the total project cost, design engineering, or just engineering. That was for the resiliency plan.
Yes, but I haven't heard from the operator.
Well, it's like it was from the Board of Works Council. That said, something.
Mhm.
Okay. So, do we? Who's waiting to hear back?
The port operator.
From the Board
He
of
wrote
Works
that.
Council?
He wrote that, yes.
Okay. So we don't know whether we're applying just for engineering or for the whole project,
I have not heard.
but is the grant application?
It's for the construction and which specific item on the list? Is it for all or?
For the resiliency plan
Oh,
and needs assessment. So from what Rosanna said, we use the resiliency plan we took that information and basically plugged it into CSIP as a grant application, which we've received in the form of, an Excel spreadsheet. That's just the way it's submitted, right? When I go in here, I see a lot of empty boxes that might just be the way it's displayed on the screen.
I questioned the board operator about that, and he said it doesn't pertain to the specific project. So they left it blank.
But I mean, it's questions like, how is the project consistent with the port master plan? And that is something that would be relevant to this project, right?
Yeah, but they didn't provide answers to that. All I'm doing is taking, copy and pasting what they have on the spreadsheet into CSIP. And they have, on that spreadsheet, they have 9 different projects that they're applying for funding.
10,
10, yes, if I receive it on time, because the deadline is Monday.
I'm not able to see any of the information that was included in the application, like maybe the descriptions or narratives. When I view it, and again, I apologize, I've been out of town, so I know other board members who might have reviewed it as well, I will do that, or any issues with the and be able to see everything.
I don't think he's giving you the information that he's gonna put in each grant. Time, just giving you the information that he's gonna apply for a grant for specific
Projects.
My understanding is that we submitted for submitting an application. So we need to.
So in order for me to click on submit for the application, I need board approval to do so.
I'm going to be approved with the application. For the grants. To see this.
Okay, so, I haven't been able to approve, so I don't have a basis to give an approval. I don't have anything to approve. But I don't want to hold the process up, so can I? I can't view it. If there's no information. Yeah, it's just for bosses. See, yours has something.
Oh, do you want me to send you a new version or? I mean, it depends because mine on my side has.
I just showed them like bosses.
Oh. Let me send that to you, but no, on my side, please, row.
Maybe you can pull it up. Are you able to pull it up on the?
Not on there.
I apologize. I don't have a way of knowing whether what I see is different from other board members.
Would you like to see my laptop? That would be for. Overall, all of the projects that you can see there right now is related to increasing the capacity, our general capacity, and reinforcing our commercial efforts.
I just received this yesterday, by the way. So that's why it didn't make it to the meeting packet.
So that is only letting them know that we're going to apply for grants for these projects.
No, we have to submit the applications by Monday, the grant applications, in CSIP. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm starting to copy and paste their narrative into the application, but I'm not clicking submit because I need board approval to do that.
So did you help fill this information in, or have you seen it before?
Not until I received it. So,
So did Greg have like login information and he filled it out or not?
No, he asked for the login information, but I was uncomfortable providing that. Because it has OPA records in there and I am the record keeper. I don't like sharing passwords.
But you're submitting grants to a competitive or proposals to a competitive grant process.
It's very
The
involved.
grant in the order of the preference and the amounts, and so if they're awarded, then a contract will come in and
Yeah,
if, which is the big if, because you're competing against all the other submissions. And so essentially, this is the port operator's wish list
Mhm.
of projects they wish they could get funded for. If they succeed, then the process will move forward from there of whether OPA wants to accept that grant, where the funding is going to come from, how much, et cetera.
And don't we still have to approve each one of those grants individually, obviously, when they come up?
Right.
Yep.
And whether it's accepted, et cetera. So this is just a wish list
Right.
of, hey, if we have all the money we can, you know, if the CSIP has, you know, money they're giving out, here's a wish list. And, you know, whether these projects are actually completed or not, again, depends on.
Not your call, but
okay, so just to discuss like what we're voting on, can you say specifically which grant and what the purpose of the grant is, as to what you want, approve? I have 1, 2, 6, 9, 9,
9,
9
It'll be 10. yeah.
Some of them also are related to the Brazilian plan. To respond to that.
here. Rosanna, when you looked at this, did you see anything about public outreach?
I did not.
We certainly add more to this list. This is not limited to
Correct,
9, 10, you got 15 of these.
correct.
It says one of the grant nominations for the Seawall. Total cost of the project was 3.2 million, 1.7 million for the general site improvements, 2.3 million for the general site improvements lighting. Port rail and access, 5.8 million. Bulkhead improvements, 3.8 million. Crane improvements, 700,000. That's the overall related costs. Is that right?
Right, and remember, all these grants are gonna have matching requirements. None of these are 100% grants. Which means that every one of them, obviously, if you want to submit a grant, where's the funding gonna come from for your, what should be a 50-50 match, right? So obviously, the port operator has looked at their requirements, and this is their wish list.
Virginie, did you help with preparing these applications?
I was not involved in this. It was something that was prepared, with the people on the grant and over Lisa. I was involved as well. But the number that you just mentioned, we are different than the number I have. Mine was here. Not here, which line item you're looking for?
That was the total budget costs.
Okay,
So that might have included more than the grant.
correct, yes,
it's
so.
a match.
Yes, so if you go back to on the very top of the line item, then you would see the different amount. Which are lower numbers.
Yeah, just scrolling through here, I don't see anything that troubles me, like with our past grants, issues that arose with the, in the application prepared by the operator. there were representations about where we were in the phase of the process, which seemed to make it sound like we were farther along than we actually were. And, the public had been, engaged, there had been meetings, and so that's kind of what I'm issues about, to be transparent about that. From what I see on the screen, I don't see any issues with these applications. This was done actually at OPA's request to apply for these grants quickly because we didn't get our resiliency document, until recently. It was still in draft form. And, these notice of funding opportunities is, this is the deadline. And so it's a really quick, turnaround. The timing is what it is. I think that they had intended to get us that resiliency draft analysis much earlier. Otherwise, what we're faced with is sort of the fire drill we have right now with relying on the information as it is, the engineering reports as they are, and rough estimates based on the internal analysis of the operators engineers. I think it's smart they're going after both engineering and the project itself. I think that we need to balance that with having a shovel-ready project for the engineers, so. It's just a policy, business decision, I guess, to go after the whole product. So, just based on this cursory review, I don't see any issues that we can or not. Did any other commissioners have any comments about those applications? Commissioner Nelson, did you have any comments?
I just looked through it, everything, pointing toward exactly what we need to deal with. Yeah. Plus, speaking to the,
Okay. So I would receive a motion, to approve this submission.
Motion to make it second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, any further discussion on the topic? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol lease amendment is an action item to extend the Customs and Border Patrol lease for an additional year. That amendment is attached to the agenda for consideration.
Do we approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the amendment to the lease. In discussion, was asked, Patrick, if we review this and give any comments or suggest changes.
Just cursory, I didn't see.
This lease expired in April. And they did not want to renew the lease unless we showed some effort in redoing the facility. And we've done that, so we're agreeing to redo the lease or recontract the lease for until April next year.
I support renewing and glad that we're getting a copy of this proposed amendment, to time. Patrick, did you look at the current lease to see whether this changes any of those provisions, like kind of maybe notice?
No, I hesitated going off on work assignments without correcting, so I looked at what came in and was expecting a discussion.
Okay, in the new customs office, are we operating that space in the same terms as that was, are we prepared to basically?
This lease has nothing to do with the new customs office. This is the existing customs office. This lease will be renewed for the new customs facility. From that operation.
Yeah, it doesn't say that. What it says is that it'll automatically renew on a year basis,
Right.
anniversary, and thereafter for 4 additional years, but not beyond the point. There's nothing in here about a new space or division in terms of lease or whether or not we can terminate once the new space is available. I'm not saying it has to say that. It's just doesn't say that.
But it's specified current location, right? So it's-
Yeah, so we would just have to go on and offer them the same I mean, we're going after grant funding for a new space, but then we're renewing this with the option of 4 years, 5 years total in the existing space. So I just want to make sure we're square, like we're going after a grant to fund the customs facility, the completely new space. So does this match up with that?
Yeah.
This, the letter is, said, please find and close amendment 1 to your government release. So another amendment, once you get the facility developed, another amendment will come through for that, so.
Okay. Since we just voted to submit the grant for a new space, I would just ask that, we communicate that to customs and Patrick, if we just confirm that that doesn't result in any change in what we're proposing here. I think we're all, very happy to receive an extension on the lease and very happy to know that they are taking our efforts and moving.
Sure. We just approved a wish.
I'm
Or
sorry,
we just approved a wish for a grant, a wish for a grant.
right.
Until that grant is actually received. To me, this is giving you 5 years to
Well, it's a
build a new
year
facility.
for options.
Right, but that means you have 5 years to build a new facility,
Right.
get your grant, you get your facility. If that wish comes true and we get the grant money. Obviously, that may be shorter, but that's just, again, it's just a wish. There's no, you haven't applied for the grant.
Yeah.
We just
Good
submitted.
point. Good point. Okay. So we've got a motion, we have a second? Okay. All those in favor of the, proposed amendment? Aye. Opposed, motion is great.
In addition to go along with customs and border facility, we got executive costs. They went through what they call GM Hill, it's a design, company that designs and builds, constructs buildings. And they asked them to give us a develop the estimate they can do that for the new facility, $2,651,000. So that's why I need to know how much but he has this information. The grant should be, hopefully a little more than that.
Okay,
It's got their contingency to find on their offer, if they have to change anything with the design or development. There's a 10% contingency that has to be added into that from, or get out of it. I need to make sure. And the 286 is with the contingency. And there's also, they also approved redesign of the old customs house in for us, in case we wanted them to remodel the customs house. I don't know what they want to put in the facility. They said something about new bathrooms, but I haven't seen or talked to them about exactly what they were going to do to that facility. So, and the estimate for that was $717,000. I think that's a little high for what we needed for. So I'm not going to knock that down until I see what they're. So that's the number we're looking at for the new facility, 2,006,000, with the contingency fee on in. So I'll get with Greg, make sure he knows that and applies for the grant.
Okay, item 11A, new development reports, the new development reports, other than what we heard from the county development board tonight.
She's already covered the, facility. The only thing I have to say about security is that TSA has been out there the last 2 days, checking the security to make sure that they are not just taking word of mouth and inviting people in. I got a call back. I know the inspector that was out there, security officer, code the A and B shifts. They usually don't do the one from, 10 to 6, but they passed policy. They challenged them on everything, made sure they had the credentials, and, I was glad to hear that. The FDOT, Ms. Fuller was kind enough to make the last one because they, were discussing the CDP on us. So,
Actually, I was not make that, the Mary was on that call. I don't know what. If you find out about
Which call was?
the last couple, the last,
FDOT,
FDOT,
Which was which date?
what, they,
it was like, I posted a notice of gathering because all the commissioners were invited to join.
one you want to get. Oh.
Yes, and I thought we were going to be on, but they might. That's okay. Okay. I mean, most of that discussion pertained to the resiliency plan, which culminated in what we approved tonight, and we submitted for CSEP. So it's really just responding to the opportunities as they come along and responding to the needs. Understanding what's required. Okay, so next item up, it looks like we've covered, having covered facilities and FDOT and customs house, so next would be Army Corps.
They're still working on their revenue, project, they should start doing more of that. In 2 months, I think we told them. Before we.
And next up is economic development.
For sure, we was here tonight, gave a great presentation, and basically, all the, things coming in the future that will be of interest to us. But we did have the hurricane preparedness on May 30th, and everybody was there, but you. So yeah, we had a good turnout, and it was very informative talking. Lady from the meteorologist, she gave her talk, and then the director of the emergency management, or assistant director, was there, and she gave a report as well. So, that also ties into our emergency management. Definitely, well, you want to?
I knew it was the end of it.
Rosanna?
And Virginie, Virginie.
Yeah, you were there, yeah.
So I know that NOAA keeps asking about putting additional monitoring equipment at various ports. So do we have NOAA monitoring and like wind monitoring? We just don't get those reports. But you all get. Okay.
We, during emergency management, we had one, and I was there, then I would call for to find out what the particulars. And once that is, we were in.
Awesome. I'm sorry. I interrupted.
No, that's it.
All right, and then TPO, the meeting is tomorrow. The board is frequently hearing updates and changes to their unified project work plan, and those, their budgeting is set. We don't get to set the budget, but we do approve that plan, so it's one of those important things TPO does. I was made aware earlier this evening, speaking with Rosanna, who attended the TAC, that there are always representation issues and attendance issues from, in the various meetings, especially the working groups. And so the more we can do to encourage participation from the whole county, there's an opportunity for representation from or Hilliard to join those work groups. That helps Nassau County to have a voice in communication planning. I just want to encourage attendance, to the extent you all have contacts, on the west side, that we do need additional participation. TAC, Vice Chair Taylor?
So, yes, and the TAC meeting last week, it was good. It was, the technical advisory committee is really, a group of staff from the different municipalities, organizations, a lot of engineers, that they're vetting the different, program projects, for goes to TPO, for approval. One of the things they brought, actually, and I took a whole Rosanna this on the way back, she coming there, was this new, LiDAR pilot program that it's similar to mount cameras to your vehicle and you ride around, you get, with the assets, the, fire hydrants, bandits, the roads and the, how they're maintaining it, they're, they work on them. But so they use that interviews, I think that can be, they showed some of the things I thought was great, being able to keep up with those assets, and then even have that rating system for the roads. And, I know the county and, some municipalities, use a similar system, but this one was a little more, it's more cost effective. But I think it's a great program. And I was excited to see that, and, maybe it's something that, one day, the county can get involved in, but, Dartport being small as it is, it's not really necessary, but a couple of things.
How do they do
So what they do is they order, there are companies that will come out and actually drive the drive. But this, you actually order the equipment, it comes in, you mount it to the vehicle, and then you drive a path and you send it back. And then within 2 weeks, you have all the data, and the overlays of that. So it's, again, it was.
Yeah, it's smart home, so you don't have to have like a standalone piece of equipment and they've done some of it with like drone technology, but this is even easier because it's basically like self-reporting on a cell phone. But yeah, it's really impressive that the resources that are available, if we have problems that we don't think there are solutions to, I think we can't really confirm that that's the case until we've gone through TPO and TAC with those problems to determine, whether or not there's a solution. Because FDOT has a lot of resources available to them, the county has a lot of resources, and through TPO they kind of convene all these resources so that we can borrow equipment to do a particular study. We would at very low costs. Like that's what TPO is there to do, is to take our problems, solve them, and then create case studies that other, counties and municipalities can use to, solve other problems. Okay, Vice Chair Taylor, you're up again.
Chamber, their events they have coming up, they're going to do next Thursday. Nothing for City for Beach, nothing for keeping us all beautiful.
Yeah. All right, community outreach, Commissioner Coleman.
Okay.
All right, Administrative Office Manager report.
My report is in the meeting packet, and if I may, Madam Chair, just a reminder to the board. Was the Escambia incident with the down cable resolved?
So I did respond back to that, and from the narrative, what I would gather was that the same coax cable. Was that confirmed? The neighborhood saw the truck dragging the line. They said it was like a closed line on pole. And I think there was a response from someone.
Okay, I don't remember getting a
If there's
confirmation on it.
don't mind.
Okay,
Message on the here.
okay. And then the city permit for the fabric warehouse was submitted by Coast to Coast. The FPC meeting on June 19th was canceled. We're not gonna go. Zion Bank was invoiced for the annual issuer fee for $1,500. That was sent. We're just waiting for the payment. FDOT single audit exemption was submitted by Mr. Laporte. Admin and bunkering revenue funds for March to May 2024. It's not been paid yet by the operator. So if you could remind them. The ADA website guidelines. He called me today asking for 15 minutes of our time. So,
Yeah.
it's a website thing that, he can check and see if our website is, compliant to the ADA requirements.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want.
The city actually paid a settlement. That's fine.
Person's contact is, so it's an account, yeah, so it's something you want to look at. You know, then you should, if he's not like an authority.
Right,
So,
would you mind reaching out to, Tammy about that, just to ask about the lessons learned from that process that we're perhaps take, I just don't want to dismiss it. Because ADA is long.
So do you want me to invite him or?
No, not,
No.
no requests, I don't think.
Okay, got it.
Your
And,
notes.
and then the last one was the FDEP state lands lease. I need, plans for Port of Fernandina from the port operator, modifications and maps. They asked for that and I still haven't gotten. So I will forward you.
we say, statement, yeah.
Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Yeah, they want future plans for the Port of Fernandina, which I don't have, but the port operator should have. So
Okay.
that's it.
You're
Thank you.
notified.